is that we're talking about?
So, if you call the police and tell them that people in and out of the construction, they can't get arrested for that, right? Being unsafe. If they're going in and out on top of it, like, you know what I mean? If the building happens to collapse on it or something. You know what I mean? Like,
That's more of a safety and reliability issue. If you take the steps to condemn it, that's what you said, because of this nature, as a public matter, we're taking possession, shutting it down. You posted it, you condemned it, they know about it, and they've gone back in it, now that's a defiant trespass.
And you can call the police. Put those 3 steps there.
okay.
Give that to me again, first step. What do you say? Condemn it.
Dan, she wants you to explain again. Sorry.
Well, I was answering, I'm not explaining the process, I'm answering the question.
Yeah,
How would that have a criminal matter?
yeah, is it?
That's a private piece of property, right?
Yes.
So you can't go and say, stay off someone else's land.
No, it's just
But if you condemn it, and let it be unsafe, and post it, and then you've said as a matter of public concern, it's an unsafe structure.
And
It's
who,
dangerous to be in there.
now who would have to post that? Because it was already posted not to go in, they.
In a typical municipality, it's your code enforcement officer.
Jack.
Right, size, certain size, dimension, you post it all, you nail, close off the doors. Right?
Yeah.
And then once they've been informed, they continue to go back into that property, then you call the police. That's defiant trespass.
Okay.
If you manage to serve them somehow, live with that.
Are you talking about a declaration of taking? No.
We're just,
No, we're talking about condemnation. No, I mean, it could become that, Jerry, but no, I don't think the borough wants to own it. I don't think they want to take that land. I think they just, if I understand it, we're talking more just making an unsafe structure,
yes, that's correct.
cordoning it off and making it safe from the public.
Then you have to have an ordinance in place, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. There are laws, but yeah, I would think you need an ordinance in place.
Thank you.
Sure. It's always better to do it that way.
Okay, which do we do first then? Which do we do first?
I don't know if you have.
Sound on, condemn,
I
or
don't know. No. I don't know that you have that ordinance. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know.
I don't think we do.
One thing I don't, I'm incapable of doing is knowing each municipality and all the ordinances they have in the books, unfortunately. Oh, I try.
It was quoted in the last meeting that you used 182 for the Nittany building. It's not in the codification of the ordinances. So how can you use it?
I wasn't here.
I don't know.
Okay. That's what I was curious about.
It is a problem.
I know it is. It's a problem to try to solve. It's 2 problems in one. It's a problem itself, and to solve it is a problem.
It is, correct. She's right.
So there's 2 problems. Yeah.
She's right.
Like a teacher. I'm talking. We'll solve it. That's the problem.
So many folks think it's figuring out the issue. It's not. It's the correcting of that issue. Far more complicated than that.
Yeah. No, I know. It is important to see what's on the road. I think she's not going to 23, but I'm not sure.
I have 7 o'clock or 7:30.
What Saturday?
Tired. I slept for 2 hours today. And I was up all night last night. I got home at 6 and slept for 2 hours. I work swing shift. I'm off for 4 days now, so I don't want to.
Make up for
Scroll
it.
in, right?
Alright, call the meeting order. Everybody stand. Move to silence. Alright, we're doing a pledge of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Todd Spencer,
Here.
Greg, Ladawn,
Here.
Andrew Manges,
Here.
Sean Yingling,
Here.
Mayor Madeline. Here.
Builders and guests. Maintenance man, he wants to talk about the electric.
Yes. Good evening, council, mayor, everybody who's here. I'm Joe from the borough. Everybody knows that. I'll just make it formal. Nice to meet you. The reason I come up this evening is last week there was an issue with the furnace and it got very cold. So the senior center plugged a couple extra heaters in and it blew a circuit. So we referred to this panel, which is on top of the steps. It's very, very old. It's push button. We were trying to reset and it was actually arcing. So we got a new breaker. We tried to fix it. It did not work. So we called, contacted, I think the gentleman's name is Jim. He's an electrician. He came up and what we did was we ran all new wire for both sides of the senior center. And what I mean by both sides is there's receptacles on both sides. So now those are separate. They're into their box. They have their own panel. It's square D. Now everything for the senior center is all in one box. It makes sense. And
The door is locked.
yeah. So it makes sense and
It must be in this door.
it worked. So we have
This
two
is right there.
new breakers in there. So
Somebody turn the light.
they're all inside of that. So that's what we did. We ran conduit on top. It's all insulated and it's done. So it just makes sense. Those panels, those breakers are now disconnected. We've been wire nutted. Something to reference, I think, with this box on top of the steps is probably older than I am.
Hi, Diane.
And push button, and we can't get breakers to replace those. So that being the case, that's something that we may have to maybe check out if it's available for a grant to maybe rewire that. Walt and I spoke to Jim, the electrician, he just said they're just antiquated. The push button are antiquated. And the fact that the building is so old, and with the dust and push of the contacts, there's just a lot of arcing, and it very well could lead to a fire. So something to think about that maybe we might want to think about doing.
Do you know how many panel boxes we have in this building?
There's actually several. We could probably redo this box with what's marked and update it with the wiring. The wiring, Jim thinks the wiring we can get away with, but the box itself to transfer it over to Square D just makes sense because it's running basically 3/4 of this entire building is in that box. There's a couple boxes downstairs. There is a main for the senior center because it's a higher voltage for the kitchen area. But that's a main breaker, but everything in the senior center is now inside of their office and in a closet. But this panel, we could think about redoing that, and I think it would be safer. to be
Is there
honest with you.
any that has been updated in the past 10 years?
To my knowledge, the only new thing is probably the senior center. That's all square D. We just added 2 new breakers, so they're all encompassed. They're all one. So if anything happens down there, we go right to that box, and because it was running the whole length of the building, and you can't even find push button breakers, to be honest with you. And they're not
upgrade.
It was like an original wash.
yeah. And as I said, we tried to work it. We did get a used breaker down at Lucas's, and it didn't work. It just kept arcing.
Is there any electric at all that's not working as of right now?
No, everything's working
Everything's
fine.
working right now?
Yeah,
so
that was
far.
disconnected, and now, as I said, it just made sense. I don't know why, when they did the senior center, they did that whole kitchen, they had this brand new box with 8 other breakers open, and they wired it and ran it the whole way down here. Why? I don't really know, but now it's right, now it's all encompassed.
Joe, did he give us a bill for it yet?
I'm not sure Jim did. He asked us about it, and it was one of those things, so I apologize to council. It was one of those things that we kind of had to make a decision to do.
Okay.
Well, we need
They-
power for the kids and the,
Yeah. Well, they had no power, and the only power, and they were running all kind of extension cords, and that kind of weirds me out, that whole 17 extension cord thing. And
I agree.
it made sense to do it the way we did it. It was all encompassed in that building, and it's now safe.
that's fine. Now, did you take Jim's information for phone number and stuff like that?
I think Walt actually has his information, so Walt will be the one to get that
All
information
right,
from.
thank you.
Yeah. You guys need me for anything else?
No, that's it.
I gotta go warm up the building.
All right, thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
To what?
Anybody else? We'll get you. Anybody else? All right, we go, Jerry.
The bills for taxes are going to be printed probably in January. They're wanting to know information. The last time that the tax collector was addressed at all and the meeting was canceled, I received a alleged document of things that you would do for the tax collector. And on it, it said that you were going to close Post Office Box 125. So what I've led up to ask you is, are you going to close Post Office Box 125 and not pay for it?
That alleged document was for a work session for you people. We had talked about it. I just listed things, and we're going to talk about that a little later. That was just, there was nothing said. Nobody said you were going to do anything on that whole document.
Well, the mayor instructed our chairman it was Mr. Councilman Yingling to give me a copy of it. And so I thought it was purporting what you were going to do.
That night.
Okay. So my question is, I need to know, because they're going to be printing up bills, and there's been a lot of confusion for the people. Our solicitor says it's conflict of interest to do Vision Press work in this building. It's therefore, in the same token, it is not correct for taxpayers' business to be done in Vision Press. And that's been the stand. And the people have been courteous and good to mail in. And Mr. Chairman, I just sent your receipts for your taxes. So the people have been complying with that, and you're not offering a room that is locked that I can have access to the way it sounded on that purported document that was your work session document, that I would have to have permission of the maintenance crew, and they would have to be present to be with me when I would collect taxes. So I wouldn't have access to this building. It would be locked, and the only way I would be able to get in is if the maintenance person came and stayed while I was here in the building. That was my understanding. I can stand corrected if that's not correct.
No, we don't use the maintenance guys to come up and unlock the building, that's all.
Yeah.
And then like, if you set hours, let's say,
Well, say if I have a lockable room, I'm sorry to interrupt you, go ahead.
if you had like hours, like 3 days a week, 10 to 2, they come up and unlock it at 10, and then they come back at 2 and lock it back up. That way, the door's unlocked, anybody can come in, pay their taxes. Maintenance guy doesn't have to be here.
Yeah.
You can do your business.
If it happens to be in the evening, one of us can unlock it for you, it's not a big deal.
That would be, because I would still be doing it by appointment.
So no one has to be here, is that what I'm hearing?
We don't have to be here, we just unlock the door and go, and then come back up when he's done and lock it back up, that's
That
all.
was discussed because the people.
It doesn't sound reasonable that I have access to this building, and I think your attorney would agree with me. So,
To some degree, if the concern, if we're gonna offer him space and he's conducting public business, people, the whole point of this is to try to give as easy access as possible to taxpayers to make sure that they can pay in an easy fashion. If the concern is we just don't want, who is controlled of having a code, when and where can they have access? And there are locks that will identify any person that comes into and out of any building. So, a solicitor can get a different code than the tax collector, which can have a different code than the secretary, so you know who
that's
have
correct.
access at any given point when they're in and out of a building.
That's right.
That does exist. I guess that's what
I'm elected a public official, is my statement, and what I'm hearing is I'm not trustworthy. And I have all of the background checks and everything.
I don't know that that's what I don't know that. I'm just thinking the easiest way. We either said we're giving them access or we're not. Sounds like we're a whole lot closer to that. I do think that's an easy and reasonable way to give people access to pay their taxes. That's the key. From that point, the rest of it's logistics in my view.
The last thing that was discussed was about coming in this way because of the handicapped going to be used now.
Yeah.
And that's when it was said about with that
That was a
unlocked,
concern.
it was better a maintenance, if he put his hours when a maintenance man was here because of people coming in and out of the building.
My hours would be by appointment only, because I'm not gonna come up here and sit from 10 until 3 in the afternoon, and you can't do that.
Well, I want to tell you.
You mean a tax collector can't do that? There are oodles of tax collectors that have set hours at municipal buildings.
It's much easier to work with the people, and they like that they can say they want to come at 10 o'clock in the evening. Are you going to come down and unlock the door for me to come up?
Well, that's why you have set hours and days, like, they would have to come between those times, I think.
I work with the people.
I don't think it's good to have somebody popping in and out when this nursery school is here. That's a problem right there. That,
Well, that's why they need to come through this door here. We're gonna get a ramp that will be handicap accessible.
you said you can.
This room right here can be Gary's room. I talked to Walt and Joe today about it. All we have to do is put 2 locked doors on it. They can all come through that. The handicap can pull right up to the door, get out, roll up the ramp, and right in and see Jerry.
That makes sense.
We just have to put 2 locked doors in there for them. There's a lock cabinet in your office that nobody uses. You can take that over there.
It's not a cabinet, it's that big old safe.
That's a storage cabinet. We'll get it moved somehow.
Well, they said they couldn't move
I
it.
talked to Walt and Joe about it. We just need to frame in 2 doors there, one 36-incher. So the wheelchair can get in it, and the one that goes to into here, it can be the 32, and it can be locked. Jerry gun goes out this way, comes in
You
there.
have to cut the door bigger.
A lot of load-bearing walls, so
Does
it'll
it
be
have
fine.
You do?
You don't have to bring anybody through here and worry about the kids. Everything can be done through that door there.
You said you did find a handicap ramp for out here, or we, I don't think this one will be nearly as bad. It's
No, this is what they call a suitcase ramp, so they can move it to put coal in, but it will be handicap,
It won't need to be,
It'll be
because
up to
it's only
Yeah.
6 inches or 8
Everything
inches
will
of
be right
wall.
through there. And actually, it benefits the handicap because they can go right up to the door.
Living room, just like that.
Yep.
But this one's 3 feet off the ground, and this one only,
I measured it 9 inches.
I was gonna say 8 or 10 inches.
All we have to do is spruce up that office for Jerry, go put a couple locks on it. He's
Doors
just-
on, what are interior doors, this is $60-80 a piece.
Yeah. It'd be cheap fix.
Wanted to add
Gotta
something,
keep the
please.
popcorn machine though.
Second
Do we
page,
have to?
We gotta keep the popcorn machine.
So I can run it?
maybe that,
Make some extra money on the side,
Uh,
sell popcorn.
It also said that you have access to internet, and I would be putting a camera in that room.
Yeah.
That I can, even down in my office, I'd be able to see up here.
we have Wi-Fi, right?
I could.
Yeah, we have,
Yeah,
we have Wi-Fi, you have access to the Wi-Fi.
That was on the paper.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On the second page of your agenda.
Alright.
Read what I had there where it says unfinished business.
If you decide on what you want to provide for the Coalport Borough tax collector. I'll include it.
Is the additional matter that Councilman Manges sent to the solicitor, is that going to be addressed tonight?
Let me see if it's in here.
I didn't see it on the agenda.
Right here, resolution and incident fees.
That's in here. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I see it now. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Also, we need to decide what we're going to do for the tax collector for next year and ongoing. Correct?
Yeah, what I understand is if you write a resolution about it, it's then, for any tax collector that comes along, then they'll know what you're going to provide for them and what you're not.
All right.
You already provide, I couldn't find anything in the writing where it's anything in, unless did you just vote on it every year or something? How much about the stamps and the envelopes and?
No, it was never,
That's,
it was never an issue.
I'll yield to the solicitor, but he should say what's in the tax collector's manual and code in regard to stamps and supplies for a tax collector.
Are we talking about the proposed fees that were in the suggested resolution for the Act 57? Are we talking about providing a space? To me, those are like two separate.
It's the third thing. They're bringing up what the tax collector's supplies,
I get it, but
but they're not even addressing what was purported to you. I came for the Act 57 and a fee schedule that was supposed to be done in 2021. But nobody has done anything, and I had set my own fees, and I've been collecting them from different entities for certificates, which I am lawfully allowed to do.
You are?
And that should have been, council should authenticate that, is my opinion, yield to the solicitor. Or do you just want me to continue doing what business like I do? It's up to council. But my understanding from after coming back from the convention, and certificates have been as high as $35 a certificate. Some of the tax collectors that I talk to, and some of them are lower, down to $10. I've been charging $20, which I believe is lawful. You have to either agree or disagree.
I think we're dealing with different buckets. If we're talking about providing him space and then we're providing services for that space while he's there, I think that's a separate issue. You should decide it. Probably a resolution would be a good idea, just to memorialize your understanding with the tax collector. What fees the tax collector may assess, I think that's a record and it is out there. What the acts allow a tax collector to charge in terms of fees. What's reasonable and appropriate, you're the elected official, that's not me.
Thank you.
I've seen various rates too. That is a certificate essentially saying, for the person coming up to closing, the taxes are paid and everything's good. I don't think it requires an incredible amount of work, but I know that that is a revenue source for tax collectors.
Yes.
And you don't get revenue from all sources that you could otherwise.
And it's not that much.
It depends on the size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had that many requests.
I know municipalities who choose to endorse those things for the tax collector. I know municipalities who choose not to do so. It is not required. If there are additional expenses you're asking the council to reimburse you for that are outside that, that is absolutely a matter for you. And I'll make more opinions known at that juncture.
Agreeable.
So if nobody's complaining about him setting his own fees, we don't have to worry about it.
You're right in line with everything I did.
All right.
$20 is right in the middle. Yeah, for all real estate closings that I've
His
seen.
office, his
Thank you, sir.
phone, or whatever, needs in that
What we
office.
discussed for any office, was that $5?
We'll take care of, and I'm just saying what we're gonna supply.
Well, that's why I wrote
Phone
you
was
guys
just
beside this.
something to save supply, but either way, there's gonna be an office for him to be locked,
And there'll be something written that,
desk, cabinet, all kind of stuff in there. Try to make,
But ours will be by appointment.
You're free to
in
do
my
that.
opinion, I don't know why he wouldn't give him the code to get in and out. He is an elected official. He's not gonna do anything to the building. That's just my opinion.
And the camera is there to be a witness. And nobody can say something that they came into the room. I deal with women every day, and they could walk into my office. And if I didn't have cameras, they could walk out and say, I did this, I did that. I have cameras for that protection as a witness.
do you have to let people know when you're being filmed?
I would assume it's conspicuous.
There are signs saying that I audio, video.
It's a good choice to do that. It's a good practice. You don't have to. Not a public
Yeah,
building.
if you
Right. I know an attorney that was disbarred because a client made allegations while they were in a room together.
Camera will stay then.
Well, that's tough because you can't have a camera in a confidential meeting with a client.
I got a question on it.
That's what I'm saying.
Tax. He says, if by permit only, that's fine. It might be a good idea to set how late. Because you could have them make a permit for 10 o'clock at night.
I have people that work multiple hours. I'm sorry, I apologize.
You know, he can make appointment for 10, 11 o'clock at night. You want him in there at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night? or anybody in here for that matter.
He's conducting business
In his own office.
Okay.
in his own office.
Anybody?
I'm
No,
just
no,
making
you wouldn't want
suggestions.
anybody.
I have people that work shift hours and they've asked me,
People that would be in here with you, and I mean, you'd be responsible for the,
that's why I have the cameras.
whoever would come in, you know what I mean? That would be,
Yeah.
and we could get some type of lock to identify that you were coming in at 10 o'clock at night, or who, that way there, if,
Well, you're gonna have time-stamped video evidence
yeah.
that what's going on.
That camera's only gonna be in your room. I'm talking.
That's correct.
I'm talking, and sometimes it can't be you. I mean, there are theories. If you have your own code, if you have your own HID key, that can get stolen. But the point is, the source is, we know that this happened at a particular time. You were the last one in. That's our starting point as to where we track and identify what happened, when, where, and if anything went missing.
Chris,
Right?
correct.
These are just standard security protocols. That's all we're talking about.
We have an issue, an ongoing one, and I'll just use it as an illustration if I may. I don't want to take up all council's time. But money, more than $11,000 was found in a file cabinet, and a maintenance worker found it and had access to that money. There's $1,500 missing, and I'm not making an allegation that he took it. But there is money, there was $1,500 missing.
I'll shut my mouth.
And that has not been resolved. This council has not done an audit on my books. And I've respectfully requested that in June of this year. And none of the things that I've asked to be addressed have been addressed. And I can go down the list, I have it with me. But I don't want to take your time. If you want to put it into a committee to discuss it, I'd be happy to meet with you anytime.
That sounds a good idea.
Can I add something, please? I'm not sure about this 100%, but I believe the maintenance worker was not by himself. There was someone there were two of them that were hunting for stuff in the cabinet after Noel Trent left. And she had left money in there they found, and remember? Am I saying this right? And I don't recall this council,
And this would have been all before my time.
no, but I don't
know.
recall this
I
council
don't know anything about it.
refusing an audit. It was before.
Last year, they promised an audit this year, but this council is not bound by what last year's council said. But I asked in June, I've asked,
Well, that's
Several.
something, I mean, we need to look into. I mean,
yeah,
I 100% agree.
When I talked to the people at the county office, they said there should be an audit done every year,
that's right.
Yeah, I
Yes.
agree.
especially when you're changing tax collectors.
I should have never taken that $11,000. Noelle should have finished her venue, and then I would have started out zero.
Yeah, we need to, obviously not tonight, but at some point, discuss this to, we need an audit, I think we need an audit.
You can put that in with these other things when you do a resolution, right? It gets audited every year.
It's expense, you should be budgeting it.
But for the purposes of printing the bills, can I tell the county that you will be paying for the post office box? Is there a motion to that effect?
We're paying for it, it's paid for, I paid it.
It's not shut down, right? Still
It
active.
never was shut down, excuse me, but I checked on that, that never,
Just wanted to know, is it
Shut
still
down.
active?
yeah, it certainly
always
always has
been.
been. Because someone did say it was shut down, and she said it was never shut down.
No, it was never shut down at this point.
been after.
But the ambivalence is the fact that in that paper, it says in 2023, you're going to discontinue paying for the postal box, which then would close it.
It's already paid for.
That was put in that information I gave you, because if you recall, I've been talking to you guys about doing this for quite a few months. Sitting down and going over what you will pay your borough tax, like what you get for them and et cetera. And, I made a chart up a long time ago about what the other tax collectors in the area get. So you have something to compare it to. But from what I have learned is that you need to have this done at your,
As far as the
Organizational.
mailbox, I think we should pay it regardless, because there are people that can't get out to the,
Can you make that a motion, somebody, so that it goes on record?
Make a motion to keep the post office box for the tax collector active.
Second that motion.
wait a minute, there's no date here, guys.
Paid for.
Active, how long are you keeping it active for?
As long as he's tax collector, she's gonna be using it.
Okay, because you have to put that in your motion.
Until
Just can't-
further decision of council.
Yearly decision then. Every year, that's what it's paid yearly, right? And it comes up for renewal. I guess we'll have another vote on it.
all right, we got a motion by Andy to pay for the post office box yearly. Vote on again next year, second by Sean. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're gonna have to state that again. I'm not zeroing in on this or something. It is active now,
Yes,
okay?
and we will vote on it again next year when it's due to pay it for the following year.
Motion to continue the borough mailbox at borough expense until renewal next year.
Thank
We
you.
were looking for it.
Thank you, solicitor.
Who did that?
Andy made a motion, it was second by Sean. Is there anything else on this matter, Mr. Spade?
Excuse
Do you
me?
have anything else on this here right now, or?
You're dealing with, I think the solicitor probably will be dealing with Act 57 and the fee schedule. The suggestion that I drafted makes it, which the attorney said that he thinks it's better to be an ordinance. That'd be fine, but the fee schedule itself, in my opinion, I'm not an attorney, should be resolution so it can be taken care of every year or whatever you want to do. But I yield to the solicitor on whatever he decided.
That's what I'm saying. You need to work on this month to get ready for January and make a resolution and include all this stuff in it. Instead of picking one thing out here, make a resolution.
I agree with that.
And
We
everything
just have
can
to
be
have a
put
day where
into
we can
it.
do that, because that's just way too.
You know, not just for the current one, but for anybody come, you know. Can you carry a resolution over like that? Like, I'm thinking like, you know, does that mean it's forever, or do you vote on it every year?
It's an act of the council, it carries that weight unless it's given some limitation within it. So if I
Very good.
if I set the parking ordinance, or the parking fee for parking tickets at $25, it's $25 until the council says it's 30 or 35 or anything else moving forward. Sometimes we can say just for a particular year or just for this particular time, you can limit it in such a way. The same thing you would with a motion, the same thing you would with any other act that comes before you. Ordinances are more formal, they tend to have lasting effect until you truly unring them. But that's because you're limiting conduct and penalizing conduct in the ordinance.
Thank you.
So we're gonna do a resolution, right? At some point, not necessarily tonight, but
No, but it says.
We're talking Act 50, we're talking this Act 57, right?
Yeah, that's due by January 8th, so you have, but
The
when you
legislature
do the
will act.
organization meeting in January is when you should. There's a bunch of stuff to go.
Late organizing.
We were a wee bit late organizing this year, just a bit. Yeah.
Trying to get you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time.
so we need to pick a date here sometime where we get together and
That's
just
in here too.
discuss this, all right?
Yeah, no,
So when we get to it down here to pick a date, we'll pick a date when we're gonna discuss this and
Be done.
hopefully have it.
Are you going to give the solicitor an opportunity to give his opinion, which I think Mr. Manges had requested an opinion?
Did you get a chance to read it?
I was waiting for us to get to that part of the agenda. But I'm happy to bring it up anytime the chairman would like to.
We're on it now, let's
Dive into it.
let's get it out of the way.
Let's talk about what we're required to do first. So Act 57 doesn't mandate this, but I think there's a desire that you're gonna treat it anyway. You have to enact by resolution or ordinance, essentially the language that's all in front of you, I saw y'all have it. Right? We're talking about certain relief granted to a tax payer when certain documents are provided to the tax collector, and then there's a process for that. If you're going to allow for that, you have to adopt this language through resolution or ordinance. One question, does it have to be by ordinance? And we've received a bit of advice, and the ordinance is in there, so.
No, it changed today.
Correct, it piques my interest, going, well, maybe you all have to, or, I read it again, we did some checking. I think a resolution is a perfectly legal way to do this. Let's not go through the expense of advertising and the delay of advertising through the ordinance. Ordinances have to be advertised before they're ordained by you. So,
Nick Mack
resolution's good.
said that the resolution,
Right.
he's the one who wrote that act. And he said, go ahead and do the resolution.
I brought that up only to say this, we did investigate, let's make sure it's right, and we think we can do either avenue, and that's gonna be perfectly fine. There were two versions that were sent to me, essentially the same resolution. One, Councilman Manches sent along, and then Mayor Sue, the secretary, sent along. They essentially have the same language, except for some parts. I think either one adopts the substance that is in the act.
I
So-
did write it. That's from DCED.
Correct. Well, yeah, correct. Didn't draft it, but provided. But it defines what the additional charge, it defines what the qualifying event is. Everything is fine. Also talks about what the tax collector is supposed to do, and then the waiver section. The editor in me wants to tweak both of them. But that's just, that's what I do. So I would tweak wording and edit and alter things, but most of it is fine. What I had clarified in a response to Andy a bit earlier today is, I don't understand the Lexus and the link between why we would adopt this Act 57 resolution, which is clearly what the legislature wants you to do. You're supposed to do that. That has been ordained by the legislature. And then why we're piggybacking tax collector fees on the back of that, which to me seems to be a completely collateral matter altogether.
If you were in, this is how you put your pork in, isn't it? When you're in the capital, or in Harrisburg. But the two things, I agree with you, solicitor, that the first one, the fee, that one should have been an ordinance, and the fee schedule a resolution. When you, Well, I misinterpreted what you had
I
said,
think
but,
it can be an ordinance or a resolution, either one will be fine.
well, I mean, the fee schedule itself could be resolution. Then the first, and the top part that you have there is an ordinance.
This is the fee schedule index you're referring to.
Correct.
Yeah.
The first part there that you're saying piggyback, the first part is like a general ordinance that you're going to have a fee schedule for a permanent feature. Like, as an example in this example, it showed minus section 3. But section 1 was what mayor does. Her fees aren't publicized, or she just has we do have an ordinance. I did find the ordinance for her fees. But if it's in a fee schedule, you can alter them. Maybe $50 is not enough for a permit. Maybe $100 needs to be, and there should be a fee that you want to see the drawings before you give a permit. And things like that could be added in there. That's my opinion. I mean, I yield to the solicitor on whatever he decides is lawful for this borough. But that was the idea that I, just as a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something mandating.
I see those as separate items. Now, I'm not saying that it's not a wise move. Oftentimes,
Thank you.
municipalities have fee schedules. Here's what permits will cost. Here's what fines will be. The mayor's involved. Here's what we might even charge for a fee for marriages and things. All of that can be outlined depending on when we may collect fees and what we may charge for. I just see that this Act 57, which is really a relief provision,
Yes,
how
it is.
taxpayers may not have to or avoid certain charges when they can establish that it wasn't their responsibility. It's a relief provision. Is not the same. That should be enacted and addressed separately than here's what our fees are going to be for other unrelated activities. I just think those are separate items. That's just my opinion. Council, so long as you do it knowingly and intelligently, feel free, but I just want to raise that.
Can you give an illustration, Mr. Solicitor, as to how this works? I can give one scenario of somebody bought a trailer at a certain point, and now they're being penalized because they didn't pay certain taxes to the borough. And maybe you have a better illustration, so that the council could understand what this waiver is all about, or maybe they understand it completely.
Probably, yes. I mean, I've read this a few times, Jerry, just to try to wrap my mind around it, because I've not had one where I've had to analyze it specifically. That probably works, provided they can get you the documentation and it's legit.
At the appropriate times, yes.
Within that 12-month period.
That's correct.
Probably.
That's correct.
Generally, we do know that taxes go delinquent. Sometimes people buy those things ignorantly. We oftentimes have an incentive of getting it back on the tax rolls. Should that person be responsible for taxes that were not theirs? They didn't own it during that period of time. Oftentimes they are. This is a relief and an amnesty provision. It's a good idea in my mind. We see this actually pop up quite frequently. It's not fair. Probably.
Thank you.
I think the proposal is to have this back in front of you. It must be adopted by what, January 9th? 8th. To comply with the language within the act. I talked about tweaking. The question is, if you are comfortable with the language, it could be adopted. I would tweak this a little bit more before I would be comfortable with you adopting it as a resolution, but there's no reason we can't have that back to you. If you choose to meet again in December, or if you choose to take this up in your regular meeting in January, either one would work.
I would think we need to meet once more in December at least, so we can get.
But this is already very close.
And you would go over it and tweak whatever you felt, and then we could discuss it.
Bottom basement rate, yes.
Is tweak a legal word?
tweak, no.
It's my turn.
You wrote to me edible.
Scrivener's discretion.
You wanted a, edible one, or not edible, but, one that you could edit.
Yes, the Word document's always helpful, then we don't have to retype it.
All right, let's plan on doing that. We'll plan on, I see in here somewhere we're gonna see when we can have our next meeting.
Very good. And I assume it's council's preference that we take those two items separate? Do you want that fee schedule included? Do you want an A and a B option?
I want to sit
Yeah, B options not included.
The A and a B option? Okay, all right. Okay.
That's what you're suggesting too, right? Like that'd be our best.
Well, I'm only suggesting adopt the Act 57 resolution. You have to do that.
Yeah. And then we'll discuss the other part.
B part of it.
Yeah, the B part. Thank you, the plan B. So that's all I have.
Is everybody okay with that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for addressing all the issues for the tax collector.
You're welcome. Do anybody, any other visitors before we move on? All right. Action on minutes of previous meeting.
I do not have them finished.
Alright.
And I'm gonna be honest and tell you why. My 2 pages of notes, like I do this, I can't find my second page. I know it's gonna trash and wait for it.
I think I have a copy of the last thing, so, well, I'll get with you to do that if you want to finish it.
Well, I had the agenda when I was doing the meeting minutes, I got halfway through them and went to turn over and I couldn't find, I can look through the garbage.
So we won't be able to approve them this meeting, I'm doing next.
Well, and then I turned on the video.
That's tonight, that we
That's
didn't have
there was
volume.
no sound.
That was our fault. Well, the camera or something, I don't know what happened, so.
Yeah, it's embarrassing for me, but I don't know why I did lose the second page. I feel like a kid telling the teacher I lost my homework or, oh, that's right, the dog ate those. That was hated. Her dog ate it. Lucy.
Did Jerry have them?
What's that? I have the minutes. They are full minutes, and they're up online at wbcis.com. The Borough Code says that there would be full minutes. That means word for word. Is that right, Mr.
It
Solicitor?
does not. No, it does not require a verbatim. It is an accurate representation of the formal actions taken by council, formal actions. So things voted on, statements and positions made. So statements in opposition. So I'm voting against, and I'd like that recorded of record. No, not all the comments have to be recorded verbatim. None of that. No.
It's on
The
film.
secretary's manual that I referred
Otherwise,
to.
you'd all have to be hiring court reporters, stenographers to take it down.
You can say, I can put more in, you know, I can put a little couple lines about a little story. or
But
something.
we need to, Jerry,
Well, I'd take you back to Title 65, which says something different. And I don't have the citation here with me to see it, but if a visitor like me, what I talked about is supposed to be in there, and I don't know whether it's
But not
in.
verbatim. It's only supposed to be in there in essence. Is that the right word? That's a cool.
I have a different opinion, but that I yield to the solicitor.
Well, I don't know what Title 65 is. Title 8 is the Borough Code.
Yeah.
There are certain other regulations like the Open Meetings Act which control your actions, but no, I can tell you that has been contested many times over, even challenging the veracity of the secretary's recording. We fight, people obviously have reasons to fight about how things get recorded in minutes from time to time, but it doesn't have to be verbatim. It is an accurate representation of your formal actions which you all approve and can amend, depending on your recollections.
Yes.
It's your agreement on what is the docketed action of the Borough Council. It just can't be fabricated and falsified. a warning, Jim, to you all. A reminder.
So we'll have to vote on them next week. Let's move on to the treasurer's report.
Okay, general, these are from today. General account has $27,730.97. And doing fairly well for the end of the year. The ARPA grant money is in its own account, $35,011.06. And the Pliget or liquid fuels has $53,369.63. We've kind of let that build up in anticipation of keeping some of the roads.
Is there room for discussion with the finances? According to the right to know request, Mr. Chairman, there has been quarterly funds sent in check form to the borough. In reviewing the bank statements, I do not see that they were deposited, and I have the total amounts for first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter. I just wonder where that money, that's tax delinquent funds that the county is sending back to the borough. Do I need to serve a right to know request to see those checks that were deposited?
It's a county check to them. Why would they have the check if it was negotiated?
Well, there's no record of that
A
money.
deposit that matches the exact amount, because
I can go right to know to the county if you want, and get the canceled checks.
Give cancel check.
You're saying that it's what the county sent here?
They, according to the right to know officer at the courthouse, Mrs. Sankey,
Marianne.
she said that there were quarterly reports and showed me the checks for the delinquent individuals that have not paid after December 31st. The county collects the money,
Right.
and then they send quarterly funds back to the borough. I do not see them in the bank statements that they were deposited. And that's my question, if I may.
I can't answer that.
I just don't know how you would link a check of $558 from the delinquent collected for that particular quarter and match that to a weekly deposit of $8,000, which could have.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because
How you would link that.
it may be there.
The question is,
but I'm asking.
was unnegotiated, then it was lost
Yeah.
or in this place, that you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
So,
On the back of the deposit slips, and I don't have to do this for the bank, I do it. I copy them,
There you go.
and on the back, I write, there may be anywhere from 2 to 6 checks that I deposit together. I don't make a separate deposit for each check that comes here.
Yeah.
But I write on the back and then I copy it of where that came from. If one comes from, sometimes the magistrate, some come from the state police, it may come from the park rent, anything. That's on there, but what
That's his request.
But what he's seeing
Thank you.
is the total of the deposit.
He wants a record of when there should be, because you inventoried them, that record should exist, and that's what he's requesting.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did.
Thank you.
I think I got you now. And you want them from, it's just the delinquent ones.
Well, they send you a quarterly.
It comes in quarterly.
Okay, yeah, it's the first, second.
I have the total amounts in my right to know request. The county very quickly sent me everything that I requested, and they said they showed me the first quarter, how much money, the second quarter, how much money, and the third quarter of how much money was brought back into the county.
Did they give you the date that check issued?
Yes.
That's how you're gonna know when your deposit was.
Yeah.
So it'll be within a week or two of that.
And I do know others that are still delinquent and have not paid their taxes.
Do we need to approve the treasurer's report?
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second that motion.
Motion made by Sean to approve the treasury report, second by Andy. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passed. And then this here, the communications, of course, one was in other communications.
That is, in your packet. There's, I think, 5 papers there that I received an email from Bill Spade.
So you guys behind the last one,
Okay.
I just put in the order of
So,
them.
I didn't go far enough.
you should get that in there.
So he's requesting information on these checks.
Yes, that's the number. Then he, there were 2, one he amended the same day. And the last page, because I asked for a 30-day extension, there is no proposed budget yet, so I couldn't fulfill that. The other 2, I haven't gotten to them. I've been working on the budget and all this other stuff, and I haven't gotten to them yet. I know I'm supposed to in 30 days, so I will try to finish it out by the end of the week. So now I'm gonna have to go back into the records and look and see in my deposits list and what those checks are from there. So I know it's my job, but I'm trying to show you people that I can get into hours of work, just doing one or two requests that are this involved. Okay? Just want you to know.
I understand that.
Mr. Chairman, would you ask Mr. Manges how long it took to get the bank statements?
5 minutes. Not 5 minutes to me.
Is there something going on here I don't know about?
No, I just took care of it. You couldn't get to it, so I did. So it only took me 5 minutes.
And how did you do it?
So I went down to the office and I had requested the papers you needed.
I never thought of going to the office. I just thought I could try to do it on the computer.
Yeah, if you go down to the office, it'll take 5 minutes. Now you know.
Okay, then can I charge mileage if I have to go there?
No,
That's
I
up
mean,
to you.
No.
I don't care. I understand, and I totally agree, because this is why we go through so many secretaries, because we have so much stuff and not enough hours. I totally agree with that. And I do feel bad, Mary Sue, I really do.
Oh, I'm not.
And I know, no, but I know that we're not supporting you as much as we should too. And it takes one team to do everything to help. I mean, like I said, last year we numerous of times been up here until midnight, 2:00 a.m. and I got work the next day. I don't feel like being up here that many hours. I don't, we had boxes and boxes just to go through just to get those audits. I mean, we had 3 audits last year, I believe. That was a lot of work. But on top of right to know requests, and I understand that once we get it done, we get it done. And if you have to extend it, that's fine. But she's here to do office work, and I understand that. But she's only here a limited time of hours a week too. So we do put a lot on her, and I do feel bad, and we should all step in to help her with the
I don't want you
budget
to.
reports and stuff like
I'm
that.
seeing something going on here. I'd like to know what's
There's
going
nothing
on.
going on. He wanted it, you couldn't do it, I did it. Simple as that.
Then I suggest that somebody else be made the right to know officer.
No, What you
doesn't
have to do is
have to be
ask
me.
for help for, if
I-
you would have said, hey, can you go down and get them? You know what I said? I'd be right on it.
I know, but we do need an officer, and that's what that officer should be doing.
She's right in the officer, if she don't have
She's
that.
not a right to know officer,
Or-
but
All right, either way, if she needed help, I would go. All you have to do is ask. Simple as that.
Certainly, now we know.
Now you know,
Need help, just ask somebody.
just ask.
So Jerry asked you to do it, and you did it? What if I, okay.
Because you extended it, that means you couldn't get to it.
Right.
So I took it upon myself.
Did you
Take
do the
care of it.
rest of it too?
Just took care of it, and it's done. No reason to talk about it no more.
Did you do the other ones too, or just that one?
Just went down to that.
We can do them.
You got another one? Hand it over.
All right, any other communications, what we have in there?
those are all the same thing.
Oh, those are just for your information things.
I was gonna ask you, did he come in, or do we arrange on it, any of this stuff, or no,
What?
for the plowing?
Oh, yes, I talked to him today. He never got back to me.
Okay, I know he's a big guy too, so,
I wrote
yes, I did see
I
that.
wrote that and sent it to him to okay. And he did add a couple words. He said I did pretty well.
Okay,
But I had to call Dean. He didn't get back to me. I thought, geez, one of these days it is gonna snow really
Yeah.
bad.
yeah,
Well, maybe not. But, yeah, he said he was kind of balking about the part of where the insurance, his would be used first. He had an accident.
okay.
We would be used second.
Now, there is enough to hand out, do you want me to? hand-
Yeah, there's packets for everybody in there. This correspondences come in too. I forgot, sorry. But, he's gonna come in this week. I said, don't spend money to get, copied somewhere. I need his license and insurance. Get him each year.
Dan.
So he said he'd be in this week.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, at least he got back to you, and we know we're good then.
So we're doing that, we're waiting on Andy took care of it.
No, I have other ones to do with. That one about the back of the deposit slips, and there was 3 at the end of it. I think there was only 2 in it. I forget, I'll put it in.
Move on to reports of officers and committees.
Mayor? Right, first one. Okay, tomorrow's Hope visit. Received a letter of interest from the Tomorrow's Hope gentleman up there. And he wanted to get as many local people together from the town to discuss the purposes of the institution up there. I could not go that morning, but I asked Mr. Manges to go. You want to tell them just quickly about what took place, Andy?
We talked a lot about trying to get these guys jobs, get them working, get them back into the community when they can. And if any of them come down and cause trouble, send them away that quick. Also, they can be volunteered to work for us. They get community credits. I don't know exactly how that works, but we say a bunch of trees fall down the park, and we give them a notice. Request a couple guys that might have chainsaw experience and stuff. They'll send them down, and they get them credits. I guess it's good behavior credits or whatever it is, but they can volunteer them in there. They said if we have any complaints, like I told them guys were congregating at the park and throwing garbage, I'll take care of it right away. And they're pretty good on that if you let them know what's going on. That's it. We've got to let them know what's going on. When their guys are walking down to the layos and that, they don't know what they're doing. You have to take them on the honor system that they're not messing up. But if they do,
We let them know that.
let them know, and they seem like they were gonna be pretty quick to take care of any problems.
He wanted to develop good communication between us. And
They're really friendly, nice people too, really nice.
I've heard some good things and bad, and I totally agree with the volunteer thing, we have something, but I think that would be more towards like a summer thing where this preschool's not in session, because they are criminals. And, I just don't know about them being up here during nursery school hours and stuff like that, so it's something we really do have to think about and stuff also. So if there's something out on Main Street and stuff, like putting up the Christmas stuff, I would feel like that's okay and stuff, but it's more of the building here itself.
Well, limit them to like the park, whenever we have
Yes.
fire hydrants in each other.
I mean, like I said, like summertime here and stuff, because there's no school, but during school session for nursery, I think that we would have a lot of parents coming towards, to us like, hey,
just like we did.
exactly.
Mhm.
So I think it's just like, if we do have stuff that's great, that isn't, we have wave papers and stuff here for them to sign and stuff like that. But I just think, if it's not personally on this building,
Right,
that's
give them
school,
limited areas.
nursery time, then that's a different
I
story.
agree, yeah.
But I think it's a good project for them to come and work in the community.
I agree.
The guy who refinished this was from there.
Mhm.
The heck's his name?
I can't remember it, but he did a wonderful job.
He could do anything. He was one of those guys who could work on anything. And the maintenance man, nobody appreciated him. He wanted to get his own place in the
The main
job.
things on that meeting was that you hear all the stories, but talk to the people and find out for sure. And you can go up there, visit, talk to them, call them. They seem pretty willing to listen.
Do you remember his name?
I didn't.
Okay, sounded like you had a good trip.
Yeah, worth this coffee and donuts too.
I missed out on that, didn't I? Okay, thanks for going, Andy, to my place then. Had a parade, as you know, Santa came to town, so I had that proclamation to get filled out. Had one permit just recently, and I'll give a check to the secretary there before I forget that I have it. And I think that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Personnel, Ladawn?
I did have a text or message on my phone from a grandparent about the entrance for this building for them to, I guess our steps over there, the double doors in front, are not up to par. Should I say that? Up to par? Code, sorry. They're not up to code. The first step is well over its height, or whatever you want to call it. We do have some parents and grandparents that bring their children, and they're having trouble with the steps with their knees and the older they get, and some of them even have babies in hand and stuff like that. So I guess what I'm saying is they was asking if we can open this emergency entrance, but I did talk to the preschool just before the meeting. I was talking to the teachers down there because they were having their meeting, and she said that she would talk to those parents that are having trouble. That way one of their staff can go out and get the child or something from their car if they need to because of winter coming and stuff like that, or if they can't, then they're willing to go out with their staff to do that. She's gonna talk to her parents and the grandparents and stuff about that. I didn't have a problem, and I was just bringing it up to council, that I didn't have a problem opening this door for them here, but with everything going on, and it's easier for the teachers, they said, just to look out the window to the one entrance that has the steps, only because they knew who's coming and who's going, but around the corner they cannot see in front. So they suggested we not go that far right now to open that door.
They'll just probably take care of their own business down there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Which is a good idea,
Yes.
because they know them better than we would know them.
Yes.
But
And-
was there are you saying that there's a difference in the height of the steps? Or?
Yes. Yes.
First one is, Harns was showing me. He measured, he said, no, but he measured it, it's quite a few inches over code. So
Well, I
they're,
wouldn't be able to
rough. I
do it
mean, the ones down there are bad enough, but I'd like to see you get those right there.
Back and
Fixed.
forth.
Yeah, they're not
Those
good.
good people do it.
What did you say?
He's roads. Building, I thought
Who's
was,
on building committee?
is it you, Todd?
I mean,
I think it's Craig or Todd, one of them two is building.
Greg, but I'm gonna tell you,
He's-
the maintenance guys are very thankful for Andy, my husband just said.
There's something I want to bring up here too. Jerry last night that I thought the borough owned this building, borough doesn't own this building.
Oh,
So,
It's the mayor's fault.
a lot of this stuff going on, I think like the Elder Center and the school and that, I think they may have to start.
That's not the way it's stated though.
Isn't it? Are we responsible for all this stuff?
I think the
99-year lease is all that this borough has on this building. If it fails to meet their specifications, the mayor will attest to this because she signed for it when she was on the school board. So we own it. This is not owned by the borough at all. This is a leased building for 99 years.
the exception was, if it isn't used for what it's used for, it goes back to the school.
Yes.
I was on the school board too, so I'm trying to, I don't remember the wording. And I can tell you where it came from, because this is what I was told there. They were worried that if the borough moved out of here, do you remember when the kids' homes were here up in Blamberg?
Mhm.
They were, because there were a lot of nightmares with that, because they would come in and out, and in and out, and in and out of school so fast. They were there without the records from the other school they had just come from. Excuse me. So, they didn't want the borough moving out in these places, and then they thought this would be a real good place to put one of those homes, and they didn't want that in the borough, or in the district, I guess you would say. But, is that what you understood when it was given to the borough?
Absolutely.
Okay, now, but still, are we responsible for everything?
Well, I see what you're getting.
Ground,
Maybe some-
steps, sidewalks, all that.
Maybe maybe they could contribute a little bit, is what you're saying, towards helping us maintain it? Is this what you're trying to say?
Well,
I agree 100% there.
like the ramp, Pam ended up coming up and saying that they're gonna refund some money out of it. How
You
know,
much?
I have that tonight too, and not refunded.
But, I didn't know, I thought that was our responsibility.
It's just a-
I read that one time, and I don't remember anything saying that they would be responsible for the maintenance, but it's been years.
I had the notion
But if
that they
we're
were
doing-
responsible.
If we're doing the work to the building that we don't own, I mean, they oughta,
I don't know of a 99-year lease I've ever read that has a maintenance requirement for the owner.
Only Glendale.
Those are intended to quite literally gift for a substantially long period of time, such that the individual who has the lease is gonna keep it up, maintain it, and manage it.
As we run into a
I'll
situation
find
with that ramp out there was a long ramp with a broken handrail and people could have fell off it. So we took care of it, so
Buildings are
it was our responsibility, I don't know. Get taken care of.
Gotta read it, gotta read the lease.
Yeah.
That's what I would be.
So watch
I'd
out
be
to read
surprised.
into, into those things
So
too.
it's just a question wondering.
It's interesting to think of it that way.
But like I said, I did talk to the teachers first to see what they're, because, they're the ones that go out and stuff like that, so I don't wanna say something, yes, and then they'll be like, what the heck, so I did ask them and stuff, so right now, we're gonna have it as closed, keep that door closed, only because they could see out the windows to the front door for the ones that are coming in and out and stuff like that, so that just helps them keep an eye on things too, so. I'll message her back and let her know, and if she has any questions, she can reach out to the teacher, she said, so. And then I also have, me and Andy came up and did well over a 90-day period for Joe, our employee, and, I think at this point, we were gonna see about maybe, it is in the Coalport Borough's personal policy. It doesn't say anything about raises or anything like that, but it does says performance reviews. It's up to the council if we want to do anything like that further in the future and stuff like that too. So it is here for anybody to read it if you want to. It's right here, so.
Does everybody have a copy of the personnel policy?
I don't think, but I do have the original, here,
But,
so.
does everybody else have a copy of the personnel policy? No?
I don't think you do.
Okay, good idea.
When was it adopted?
The
Yeah,
policy? This was here before my time, so doesn't say, sheets,
I never saw a date.
I didn't see a date.
I think it was before Paul.
I was gonna say, it had been before, all over my time. There's no,
It's not a resolution then?
no, but it's just the Coalport Borough's personal
Personnel policy.
policy. There's no date. So I guess my question is, do we want to, I have been checking over his work duties and stuff that he has been doing. He does keep in touch with me, if there is anything like going on or that he needs to be aware about, like with things. Walt's been doing a great job training. Is this something we want to do, like give him a little bit of raise for some employee after 90 days? Or is it something we want to, no?
If I put executive session there, because you asked me about that. You know, that new wallet went in last year, I have to put the votes in here.
Yes.
So I figure if I put it in, and it's not voted on, that's okay, but you can't vote on it if it's not in, right? So I
You
didn't
mean
know.
official actions are supposed to be on the agenda?
No, yeah, that's what I mean, but if it's on and they decide not to go into executive
No
session,
harm, no foul.
yeah, I'm covered, trying to cover it all.
That's fine. So I guess we can, discuss this towards the end if you want to do that. Vice President,
Yeah, that's fine with me.
or, okay, and then we can, she already put it in as an executive session, maybe just us. So we can go from there. If you want I don't know if you just wanna finish out the thing and we can do that at the end, or.
That's fine with me. We're allowed to do that, yeah.
You may choose to do that as you wish. If you're going into executive session for personnel and you're still contemplating though an official action, you have to say that.
Okay.
So we're going into personnel, this is where we'll discuss the substance, but if we're gonna enact, say, a raise,
Okay,
you have to make them aware that that action could still take place, because they have a right to watch you take the vote.
When you're coming out of, you have to make a motion to go into executive session, when you're coming out.
Yep.
So you're making a motion in a closed session, that's okay then?
No,
No.
you just record it on mute when you're out, when you're done. Motion, invite everyone back in, motion a lot of bodies do not do that, but the formal processes, so you can mark the time.
That issue with him, I can just make a motion on now and set up the amount that I want to give him a raise.
Would be in order.
Correct, I make a motion to give him $1 an hour raise, because he's the kind of guy who like heat. I've come up here, and he runs chainsaws, and he's on the move, he's building fires. The guy is a good one, I'm gonna keep him.
That was the guy that was here, right?
Joe,
Yes.
yes,
he's the one that did,
and he
give us a
deserves
report
it.
on the electrical.
You guys don't want to discuss it, you want to go with the motion?
That's a motion, it should be seconded if you're gonna
Yeah,
discuss
so
it.
I'm waiting to see if anybody seconds it.
I'll second.
You guys are jumping around on
I
me.
second that motion.
All right, we got a motion from Andy, second by Ladawn to give our maintenance guy $1 an hour raise. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Can we ask what that new rate will be?
Well,
Yeah, so it is 12.
It's
11 now.
$11?
He's at 11 now. He's gonna be down to 12.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is enough.
No,
he works about 20 hours a week.
Yes.
so we don't need to go into an executive session for that now. I made it easy.
Yep, sure does.
Second.
We're going.
I'm sorry.
Am I speaking too fast today?
It's fine.
I'm tired.
Oh, it's not you.
All right. Finances.
The proposed budget will be ready for the 14th this month. We'd like to have a meeting that day.
Well, they're Wednesdays, those two that I wanted to discuss there at the end. I don't have to pay to advertise it, because it's advertised for the year any Wednesday.
Because once the budget's approved, it has to be for 10 days up for people to look at. And then we can adopt it before the new year.
Yeah, that last Wednesday then. That gives me 10 days, well, more than 10 days to advertise it.
And I need a vote, or I need a motion to approve paying the bills, keep the borough running. I make a motion to
I make,
approve the bills, or pay the bills, keep the borough running.
I Second that motion.
Motion made by Sean, second by Ladawn to pay the bills, keep the borough running. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passed. Is that all you have, Sean?
That's it.
All right. Buildings and grounds, the new ramps in and the new doors in.
Well, we had a problem with the ramp. The ramp company showed up, started putting it together. There was one piece that was defective. So they took the whole ramp back and then come back for a temporary one in for now. It's only a 3-foot wide one. The one we're gonna get is 4-foot wide one.
I was thinking
Oh, it's only temporary now? Okay.
Yeah,
The other was 5 or 6.
the deck is a 6x6 deck. And the ramp is 48 inches wide.
Which is code.
But like I say, and it comes out of Oklahoma, and no idea when they're gonna do it. But whenever they get the the proper parts, they're gonna put it back in. And the door had a problem with it because the building is so out of plumb.
He was so dejected.
I heard about this one. I think it was the
Right,
window, is that correct?
To put a level up there, the wall's 1.5 inches out of plumb, so he's gotta do some woodwork around it and bend some metal and put a different threshold on it. And they said,
I mean, we should have expected it.
yeah. But he's like, you know, 100-year-old building that there was no door there, they cut the door in years ago, whatever. Says, as soon as they get everything straightened over and deer season's over, he said, when they get nobody come down here during deer season, they'll take care of it. But they will take care of it.
And that's within the contract, we don't have to pay for
We
it.
ain't paying it, nothing, getting paid until it's done.
And you did say something about the window now, right? You have to switch that out on the door? That was another thing, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to switch something out, and they have to adjust the deadbolt, it's a little tight, you know. And he said, do all that before he leaves, it'll be right. You know, it's just, he was in a hurry because, of course, you know it, the door guy showed up, started doing the door, and the ramp guys weren't supposed to show up until 2, and they showed up about 3 hours early, and he wasn't done with the door, and it was just confusion.
Typical.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
So right now, the deck is a
Temporary.
temporary.
The deck and the,
No, the
Ramp?
deck is our deck.
It's just there.
The ramp is only a 3-footer, that's temporary. We're gonna get a new 4-footer put on it when it shows up.
Alrighty. Can we get the ramp right, I guess?
Grants.
Nothing to report on that, other than got a call from LTAP, or, yeah, he's LTAP. Anyway, somebody called Clearfield, got Jody Brennan involved in it. She called these engineers, the next day, you know, I'm getting all kind of phone calls asking me what the hell's going on up Coalport Borough. I said, I don't know, I have to find out. That's all I can tell you now. They're not happy with what's going on up here.
who'd she,
Was the multimodal grant ever submitted? The deadline's over.
What was she unhappy?
Well, one government agency was calling the other government agency. Somebody was complaining they didn't like the way we were doing business up here. So now everybody's kinda on each other. That's all I can tell you. Don't know who did the calling. We'll try to find out, see what's going on with that, but I don't know, nothing's going on.
well, the one goes through Sean, right? Gosti.
With that.
The one goes through Sean and Gosti.
Yeah.
And but I don't know who's responsible for the DCD.
Yeah, I got phone calls, so I'll be in touch with them again here pretty soon, see what's going on. Why everybody's mad at each other.
That's one thing you don't want to do, is appear to have a problem, because PennDOT will back off on a grant real easy. And you applied for this multimodal grant, and that means you are going to do multiple things, not just paving. What are you going to do? What was in the grant?
Water repair, and then there was gonna be paving after that.
Well, no, the the one for the, means that you're gonna have a path for people to walk, you're gonna have different modes of, that's what it stands for, different modes of transportation. Do you have access for the Amish? Do you have access, and that's what I'm wondering. If you, did you see the grant, did this council see the grant application that was submitted?
Tell us, nice idea what you're talking about. Sure.
Excuse me?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, there was a resolution and to do the multimodal grant. And there were agents who were trying to do some additional things to guarantee that you get the grant here. And that was stopped by somebody in this borough.
They wanted to do walking path, put in a way for us to get a new backhoe, maybe get a building built for down there, get rid of that old one. They were gonna, like you said, put a bunch of stuff together.
Malta. Who's they?
Well, somebody, that was, is it,
Well, Jody Brennan, I guess, was supposed to be the one that wrote the grant.
Yeah.
You mean the council didn't see the grant application at all?
I don't see, I don't know how that all works. I'll have to talk to these people and find out.
Well, I think what happened is we were going through Jody Brennan, and then Gerald Spade gave her that, sent that email stuff to her. Then she contacted me and she said, why is this happening? And then you said,
Well, this comes a lot later than that.
okay, well,
This
then
is
you,
just recently, within a week, that I got these phone calls about what's going on. So I just have to keep talking to these people and see what's going on, but it seems like it originated down there in Clearfield somehow. Somebody complained that they didn't like the way we were doing things.
doing what though? You're not saying what?
I don't know yet.
But in that multimodal, I don't remember anything being mentioned about that other stuff. You said that you
It
wanted to,
was just starting to be talked about. We hadn't even did any paperwork or nothing. We just did a walkover and looked at the storm source
yeah, you told
and
me.
proposed what we think should be done with it. And then they mentioned that you can do walking paths.
Who's they?
Jason Snyder, he's an engineer.
That's the one who wanted to do the $750,000 bridge? And remember you said with Jody, you,
This has nothing to do with the bridge. This is the water system down here, the storm source, all right?
yeah.
Okay,
And
That's,
I thought that's all it was for, the paving and the storm sewers.
that's what it is all for. I'm saying they started proposing things that we can apply for.
Okay.
And next thing you know, somehow somebody didn't like what we were doing and made a phone call. Now it's kind of stopped. And I just have to call these guys again, find out exactly what's going on. Because there's just a bunch of unhappy people for some
But the
reason.
multimodal grant wasn't stopped that I know of. And neither, the one for DCED hasn't been put in yet, because that's not due till March.
That's true.
That's the one that I walked with him.
Yeah.
He suggested all this other stuff. I said, keep it to just the storm
I
sewers.
remember you saying
And make sure we do the storm sewers first, so we don't have to dig the brand new paving up.
Yes. That did
that. Yeah,
say-
we've all, that's what you explained everything, everybody knew that, right?
Somehow, somebody was making phone calls and
Okay.
making people mad, so.
Maybe this has something to do with it. I don't know, it's in here somewhere. I'm hopping all around the agenda. I got an email from Bert Larman, who works for North Central, who does a lot of work in how do you explain it? For PennDOT, is the manage things, I guess would be the word. And it was about a biking and walking loop around the borough. And I said, what are you talking about? I don't know anything about that. Okay? So we talked, and I found out that Gerald Spade had put this into North Central about a biking and walking loop. I thought,
Objection?
okay? Can I finish, please?
Okay, but he's not the engineer. Sherry's not an engineer. It has nothing to do with it. It was me and an engineer walking around.
No, this email that day was just about this biking and walking loop, and the email was from Gerald Spade to Bert Lorman, asking about doing this. And he said, I said, I didn't know anything about it, that all I know is what you just explained, a couple drainage things and the paving. And he said, but is Gerald Spade a councilman? And I said, no. He said, well, what is he going to put this through, a nonprofit? And I said, I don't know. He said, it has to be with a municipality or a nonprofit organization. So, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Why is Jerry writing to these people about stuff we don't even know about?
May I introduce myself? I am an aide to a counselor, and I do what I am instructed to do. It's not me that's doing it. It is Councilor Manges.
This was all talked about. There was nothing put on paper. Nobody said to start any of this stuff. So how this all got to where it's at now, I have no clue.
But the
All
email, his
there
name
was
was on the email.
Was a walk from me and an engineer looking at the storm sewers in Coalport to see what kind of work they needed done before the paving started.
Did you instruct your aide to contact this
Yes.
man about a walking loop?
I
Yes.
don't remember because we were doing a lot of things, but I'm pretty sure if he did it, he may have been researching it. Nobody said do it, research it. These people
Why are
were,
we sending out emails then?
we gotta send out emails and start, we don't know this. Like these engineers, they gotta come in and tell us stuff. I had no clue about this, water system until an engineer showed up and we went for a walk and he told me about it. I need to talk to these people so we know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know the grants
The
process. I
biking,
don't know
the
the
biking and
grants.
walking loop, I don't know where
That
would it
was
start,
just
where would it
another-
end?
That was just an idea. In the end, there's not enough room here, and plus you're crossing 53, you can't do that. You know, this was all just probing to find out, but how it got spiraled to what it is, I have no idea. Simple as that.
I was instructed on every email that I've sent as an aide, and it says at the very bottom of my emails that I am an aide to Councilor Manges.
He's probing for me, or getting information. You know, I have no clue on all these government agencies who to deal with.
No, I don't have any problem with that, because a lot of you have to.
I can't do computers, so he does it.
But to directly send an email to somebody wanting
They're
to
the
apply
people
for that.
These are the people that know how to do it.
I was instructed to do it. I'll stand on that. You can take me to court.
Highway, you know, you gotta send it to the people that know how to do that.
In fact,
I understand, Andy, but we are your fellows here too, that you can ask us to all come up and we can work on this together too.
Remember,
You know, a lot of us do
And I'm not now.
computers every day at work.
Well,
That
you
way
know,
we're not getting emails
I
sent
come up here
somewhere, then
and
they
try-
come back on us and it looks bad every time.
It looks bad, I'm trying to do something for.
I
Coalport, get it
understand that, but we're
accomplished.
here
But
too.
if things don't like it,
That's fine, but we're here too.
fine.
Nobody said that.
I'm trying to do something.
You do a great job.
All right.
You've been here working, you have an interest in this building like I've seen no other councilman have.
We're just saying, if nobody else knows about it,
We won't know about it until we come to a meeting.
well, yeah, but she got an email from this guy asking who Gerald Spade
Of
is.
course she's gonna start asking, but what am I gonna do? I can't write an email, I don't even know how to use.
the original,
She doesn't know that it's happening, how is she supposed to direct him to the right place or say, you know,
I didn't even
us,
have
Then he did exactly what he should have done. got a hold of her, asked who he was, got a hold of me.
Yeah, but
If we don't,
The original reference was sent by Jason Snyder, and he was supposed to be here tonight to explain things, but due to some other circumstances, he couldn't be here. But he's told me today, for Councilman Manges, that he sent that referral to that individual, and that individual sent an email to, of course, the most natural thing is to send it to a borough secretary. I was not involved. Only thing I am is an aide to type whatever he wants.
Leading up to, there would have been an engineer here explaining everything to you guys.
yeah,
You understand? You all would have had all the information you needed because I was setting everything up like that with Jerry.
but the guy emailed her and asked her who Gerald Spade is. Well, to her, Gerald Spade is the tax collector.
Well, here's what the problem is.
Like, she's not having him being like.
Is there anything that says that Jerry can't send an email to this guy?
no, but if we don't know about it, that's the thing.
You would have known about it tonight, whenever the engineer would have come and explained the whole deal about the water system, the storm sewer system. Okay, well, I see you don't like the way I operate, so I will not operate like that anymore.
Nobody said that, Andy.
But
We just want to be informed.
I
I
know.
feel like you're not coming to us for advice either, but
you're not
if
listening
we
to what I
don't know,
said.
then you
I
can
was
go to your
setting
aide.
everything up so you would
I
have
understand
known
that,
that
but-
engineer would explain everything better than I can. And you would have known exactly why I did everything I did.
Alright,
The initial email was sent by Jason Snyder to this individual that contacted the borough, because your multimodal grant is contingent on multiple ways of transportation. That's the name of it.
It's not contingent on that.
Yeah, but if you're a rural area like us, we're not gonna have subways, we're not gonna have, they took the tracks out, we're not gonna have trains, we're not gonna have any other form of mode of transportation except for biking, which, if we have enough room for a bike trail, which we don't, or vehicles.
Well, Glendale,
Plumbers come to town, but they come to town in motorized vehicles. They don't bring
This was
their
all
own.
just proposals.
Yeah.
There was nothing to say. This was just suggestions and stuff.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying.
that's right, yeah.
We're limited, if it is contingent on multi modes of transportation, we're limited. We wouldn't qualify that.
That's correct. That's correct.
It doesn't.
And you probably won't get the grant. It's
Can I say something?
yeah,
Okay. When I see here, which is what you should see, everyone blaming everybody else for what happened. Everything that comes in and out of this borough goes through her. Am I correct?
No.
I didn't ask you. Am I correct, Council? She has to know what goes in and what comes out of this building, right?
Should, yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Why are you fighting? You're supposed to be a team.
I agree.
So why you do something that's not a team working? If you don't work as a team, it's not gonna work out.
I agree.
Yes.
And I'll repeat, we've been extremely, extremely happy with what Andy has done. And he knows that. But where it got off on so much, and you said that was gonna be explained, because what we went for was paving and then those inlets or whatever it says. That's what we went for.
Yes.
You'd be lucky to get the grant for that.
You're
I
right.
think we have a really good chance of getting it. Jody has said that, and so has Terry from DCED, and it was their suggestion, and any people vote on it, to apply for both of them.
Yes, we did.
I hope you
Because
get
we're not,
one.
we're not held on either one. We're
Yes.
not.
But the reason for the DCD one is because there was no match. The one with, what was the other one with?
$90-some thousand.
Then you had to do
We
a certain
can't
match.
deal with that.
Yeah.
And I understand the more stuff you're gonna do within the money that you requested would look better on the application.
Oh,
But
but do you wanna spend money on those kind of things, or you wanna
Or
just
not.
keep paying?
that's it. I mean, if we get storm sewer and paving done, that's half the battle this borough's had for years.
You see, I called that engineer and I told him, I said, let's concentrate on the stormwater and the paving. All them other little add-ons, wasn't interested in that. That was just suggestions. And he agreed, get something done in the borough, then go to your next phase or whatever, so they can engineer it. So, if this section's done, you can hook onto this section in a year or two or whatever, and this section in a year or two. That's where it all would have led up to. Get one project done, setting the path for the rest of them. If I didn't keep you informed, I'm sorry, I'll be a little better at that.
Thank you.
Plus, I didn't see any of you guys, you're all working and I'm laid off right now.
That's all I do is work. Alright, so we're on to the secretary report.
If you want to vote on Mike Delphos's letter, Michelle called me from the what's that? BCIMA.
Yeah.
And,
Do we have a copy of that letter?
what, Mike?
In our packets, yes.
No, I'll just pass it around.
All right.
It says, dear, well, she told me that his time was up at the end of this year. Dear Coalport Borough Council, please consider me for reappointment to the BCIMA board. I have served for the past 5 years.
He says that's done at the end of this year.
Yeah,
December.
in December,
Okay.
that position is open.
And did he say he wants to continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe Adam is on it
Yes.
too. There's 2 representatives. Mike doesn't live in the borough, but he's allowed to be on it because he owns property here.
What was that for the BCMI? I'll make a motion to
Coalport or Verona Municipal Authority.
make a motion to appoint Mike back in. I don't know what the term limit is or time limit.
The 5 year, so it's 5-year terms?
I was thinking it was
3 to 5? I don't know.
I think it was 3 or
Make a
5.
motion to reappoint Mike Delphos to that position.
I second that.
I've got a motion to did you have something?
Yeah, can I hop in on that one?
Mhm.
I fought this.
Okay.
Could you make that appointment official as 12:01 a.m. on January the 1st, 2023? The individual is not permitted to occupy and be appointed to a position that is presently filled.
12:01.
This is when this comes up. It's usually the fall right before this change happens, but that language makes it clear the appointment is effective at that moment, so that he's not simultaneously holding 2 seats, thereby opening the argument that the appointment was defective at the time it was made.
Oh my gosh.
Very good.
Okay.
So
Fought this.
12/01,
That one.
January 1st, 2023.
Okay.
Alright.
Can I restate that motion?
No, it's the same, it's exactly the same motion, just with
Okay. Make the motion to reappoint Mike Delphos at 12:01
crazy lawyers on the board.
in the year 2023 for the position
Thank you.
to the BCIMA.
Yes. And I second that.
Alright, we got a motion from Andy to appoint Mike Delphos as of January 1st, 2023, 12:01 a.m. to be what is it, be reappointed to the BCMA board. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
And in your packet is clearly ahead development. We had talked about this one other time before, but it was like the very beginning of the year, I think. I don't know if you're all familiar with them, but on the second page is your membership fee structure. take time to read that, I guess, and that's it.
Yeah, curious. Churches and cities.
What was the first name of that?
Hmm?
What was that when it first came out? What was the name of that? It wasn't clearly ahead, it was
That's under the Economic Development
It is,
Corporation.
exactly.
Clearfield County Economic Development Corporation or something.
Right, clearly ahead is like their buzzwords.
Their trade name.
Right, whatever.
So we need to vote for them to accept this.
I think you probably should. I think you had me write a letter before and I just stated that not at this time, I think I just told you. Yes. We don't have non-private industry that pertains to some of the things they do.
Everybody has a chance to look it over.
Bobby Swells.
This might be, I'm still trying to understand it. Not too familiar with it, I guess. And do you know?
Just comparing business, trading business, and stuff in the area, but,
Diane, do you have any background knowledge on that?
I don't cover them, I don't really know too much about what they do.
An economic development group, guys. So business is poor resources, 8-point leaders. So the folks who just opened the Rivers Landing. They've definitely worked on the in and around Clearfield more specifically than outside of Clearfield. But I know that their vision is more for the entire region. One way or the other, is it a good use of your money and is a membership organization you want to be a part of? If you don't and you think you are interested but you don't have enough information, I think that'd be a motion to table. Bring it up next time. I think they'll take your money anytime you're in here.
That is true.
It's run by a very capable leader.
Dynamic guy.
What is the fee for their service?
$100 for municipalities.
Thank you.
Yeah, $100.
Thank you.
Coalport will benefit from it.
Not very much,
No, I didn't think so.
but indirectly, I suppose you could say, well, eventually we would. Depending on what the program is, they would bring in.
Alright, so we need to decide whether we're gonna go on it, we're gonna table it, find more information.
That's what they said, there's playing
What's it cost us to do it?
$100.
$100.
Oh, just like call?
Is that for
Costs
just like
$150.
individual or just for the borough is $100? Is that
Just for
what
the
it's saying,
borough.
borough, okay. Oh, I was thinking individuals, oh, you know, $100.
I think it's okay because it's county. You're bound to get something eventually through the county, not right away, it's not the same Coalport.
What are we gonna do about this? We have to sign this or make a motion?
So we need to make a motion to join it, or
I don't know how to do it.
does anybody else want?
Make a motion to table it till we have more information.
Second motion.
Because it may be more in the paper eventually,
Or till later in the year, if we see him making.
progress.
Alright, we got a motion by Sean, second by Andy to table this clearly ahead in membership. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Yeah, maybe they convinced me of this.
However do she to the young, he's not young.
I got another, email from the Fairfield County Area Agency on Aging. Remember we had talked about, they were gonna try and help us get a grant for that stuff that was put in down there. And, I don't care, you signed that day, didn't you? I think when Pam brought it over, so anyhow.
Oh, yeah, about getting refunding us. for
Yeah, to
grant.
try to get us, so they're still working on trying to get us some grant money to help with what was done at Aaron's building.
Your signature meant a lot.
Tomorrow morning, they've come quite a few times now, but tomorrow morning, Windstream comes to finish the wiring, which is all going to be put up into the ceiling because they can't do it down below. And they said it's unbelievable. Have you been down?
No, I'm not even,
Which is,
I never go down.
yeah,
Most of it's crawl space.
yeah, it needs to go up above
Creepy.
anyways.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
They'd have to drill the concrete and rock.
And that's for the phone?
Yeah.
Phone number.
They did some preliminary stuff in here,
phone system.
and then, to refresh your memory, it's still the same amount that we were paying. We're gonna have the
Yes.
faster speed and the other things with it, so.
Okay.
And then tomorrow afternoon, and I believe I discussed this with you, and then I also called Jody, you don't know when I'm saying it, do you? With Jody Brennan, because the guy from Paul Baker's that was here, and you okayed you wanted me to write a letter about that matching. He and I went back and forth a couple times, and I said, how do you expect the council to okay your engineer's drawings according to what our floodplain is? The ordinance is almost 40 pages long. I said, how do you expect us to do that? And he said, well, I don't know. He said, I need to get it done. And I said, so I called him and I also called Jody. He can tell you then, but Jody said, that if we okay something that we don't know about, and they go in and they build something, on the floodplain and something happens that they build it wrong, then she said she thought we would be responsible for that.
That's correct.
Never dawned on me, sorry, so next time you all know. We do have an engineer we've never used this year. So he's going to come up tomorrow at 2:00 and look at the ordinance and look at the engineer's drawings. So if he okays it, it's in their lap if something happens.
Stiflers.
Stifler, I'm sorry, Stifler. I don't know who's coming, you just want somebody to,
That makes sense.
did I say that right?
When was Stifler McGraw appointed by resolution?
At the reorganization meeting.
We didn't, yeah, you're right, it wasn't by resolution.
There was nothing.
We didn't do it by resolution.
I think we're,
What is this resolution stuff? How am I supposed to know when there's
We didn't
resolution?
know because we.
any action taken by a council, whether it is written or not, is a resolution. That is functionally what you're passing, what you're adopting. These are ceremonial actions taken by the council to make decisions so that the council can move forward. When you're ordaining, when you're enacting an ordinance, you're restricting activity, disciplining certain conduct, and assessing fine. That's the different action that you're allowed to take. But quite literally, the adoption of the minutes unedited is a resolution. You have resolved to adopt your minutes. Why we put some of them in writing is because we need a written record of something, just so we can find it later, we can go back and refer it. That's why more significant actions like this one, Act 57, that's a resolution. It'll be written, it'll be signed, it'll be recorded, but even your $100 to clearly ahead is technically a resolution.
We never did have a resolution on the,
Well, you never had even a motion for an engineer.
Yes,
yes, we did.
we signed a contract and everything.
You signed a contract?
Jerry with.
Well, I stand corrected, but then I didn't see it.
Yeah, that was at the beginning, remember, that would have been about what?
I don't remember.
April, when we got started.
Yeah, when you actually
Yeah,
finally
when we actually
reorganized.
got started, and I think the next month I
There's a lot
said
to
that
do in the
we have all this to
process.
pick up on now.
Yeah, people-
But there was never really, when you come down to it, a resolution years before on the,
It's one on the list of things you have to do in January at your first meeting. This isn't a
Because you
reorganization.
were supposed to do
It's
this.
just, yeah, you're supposed, the organization, you're supposed to do all, I'll give you the list. I have it, they gave, and I'll copy ones to you guys. No, because we're learning too, so so if we go by that, then we'll know how to. It's a good thing she knew what the protocol was, in April.
But we should talk about a lot of it for something that you literally could change at any meeting and at any time. You could fire and rehire a solicitor at any time. You can hire and fire an engineer at quite literally any time. And reappointing a new engineer is perfectly fine. Doesn't have to happen in the reorganization.
Oh, you don't have to wait till that, but you have to say in that.
No, if you got rid of your engineer and hired a new one.
Yeah, but you still, yeah, I understand that, but you have to say it then that night, and with that meeting.
By convention. You reappoint your appointed officers
you
of
mean
the
give a
borough.
reason?
Hmm?
You mean give the reason?
No, it's a reorganizational meeting,
Oh,
and you go
okay.
through the process, you reelect a president, vice president,
Okay.
vacancy chair, you solicitor, engineer, by convention, you go through all those appointments again.
Do they usually do it, just the engineers and solicitors usually do it for just the year then?
Yes.
Typically, it's because the borough code says reorganize, and that's how people interpreted it.
But you can do it anytime you want.
I've seen some municipalities, when they reorganize, they quite literally decide everything that night, down to their mileage per diems, and when their conventions are gonna be, quite literally, they reorganize everything. A lot of municipalities do not, they don't go that detailed.
About the mileage.
Just depends,
Mileage.
it's what you all choose is effective for your purposes. We should dwell on this,
Well,
we should dwell on this.
well,
Well, you were fine, he's not sending resolution. Okay. So from John. Well, Shannon Valley cog dues, and there again, I asked her to write something down for you of exactly why we should be wanting to know Shannon Valley cog, that's in your packet also. There's what she wrote, what I wrote to her, what she wrote back to me, it's on one page, and then the next page attached is the meetings. We're supposed to have a representative to it, but nobody ever wants to go because of the work schedules and stuff, so.
Sean was going
Yeah,
for a while.
last year, I think last
Yeah.
year.
That's when they were reworking, COVID. COVID.
Yeah, I mean, there's what,
It was all screwed up.
27 municipalities, or boroughs and townships, and,
We had to pay for
But
that,
she
didn't we?
explains her.
there's like 3 of us.
Yeah.
Right, well, we should-
Yeah, that's right.
Even knows what that stands for.
And Shannon Valley Council.
Council
of
Governments.
Governments.
Okay. Oh, right down there it is.
I don't know how many municipalities belong, I think there's quite a few.
Some municipalities have done this very well. The Center COG, for example, the Center County Governments in and around State College have
Didn't the borough
become
have
very
papers?
powerful in what they do.
Didn't the
All the
borough-
way down to street planning,
150.
great funding. They do all kinds of things in coordinating their police forces. They share them out there too. Just about how far do you wish to delegate those powers and how much money you throw at it.
I think it was 150, he said, for the year, wasn't it? He did bring some back, some information. More people were putting up smoke rules by then and going, doing it.
I didn't know that she wrote it, because you're giving up some things that you don't do. I didn't know.
I don't know being there. I probably went through 5 or 6 meetings. I probably went through 5 or 6 meetings.
They had trouble last year kind of staying together because they were losing, people coming from the municipality.
As I said, there was like 27 that belonged, and then 3, maybe 3 in Shelby.
If your permits for the uniform construction code go through them, that's worth it right there.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
You're 15% back on your.
Guarantee it.
He did some really good notes.
Yeah.
Also, we need to vote if we're going to,
We just have to issue
I
some.
guess we need a motion to.
For the year 2020.
Yeah.
Should. I think it's for one person at the borough of the gal, is that correct?
Yeah, it's one representative per borough, municipality, or
I think that's
Township.
how it was. That's something you want to do again.
Right now, you just have to decide which one.
Yep.
Or keep your membership.
You can appoint your rep at your reorganization.
That's
meeting.
right, we'll have a list of 10 things.
I,
Serve dinner afterwards.
I make a motion to rejoin
Yeah.
Mill Valley Cog for the 2023 calendar year.
I second that.
A motion by Sean, second by Ladawn to rejoin Shannon Valley COG for the year of 2023. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passed.
Included in your packet, so you have something to read at night. Are the engineers, Stephen McGraw sent their, it's in there, their contract and fee and stuff. Okay, it's a pretty good thing. We'll have to vote on it tonight, but that, again, will be done at the meeting in January.
You got it, then, the unfinished business? Very fast one. We already went through that, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, this solicitor.
Further.
All right, next meeting.
Nothing further.
I heard you.
You've heard me enough.
Okay, the next meeting will be the 14th. I will be on night shift the 14th.
Are you sure? Without looking at that electronic device, are you sure?
I'm working the 13th and 14th night shift. And 15th, actually.
You won't be here,
I will not be here, no.
for sure. Is that something that's not scary?
I have no clue his schedule.
Okay.
You just worry about it around.
I know my schedule is, I'm not gonna be here the 13th, or the 13th, 14th, or 15th.
Not to keep up with the swing shift, is that?
I'm actually brought my calendar and I'm off that night, the second shift.
I could have figured it out with a calendar, but I have it on my phone, it was just easier.
Sean said he's good. Andy, are you good for the 14th? Or
Yeah.
at least three of us here that,
Oh, yeah.
so far.
So far, yeah.
Can we add the clearly ahead membership on that? If we get some more information before then, maybe we split on it that night.
Which one?
The clearly ahead
Oh,
membership.
Would you like to take that job and call Rob, since you know him? Ask him to do that. Now with son, or he's welcome to come.
All right, we need a,
Guess who?
I'm sorry.
Invite you to the meeting. Tell them
Say
to make a
something before we
presentation,
adjourn.
you should bring food.
I do want to thank, and I know he's gonna hate me for this, Mike Delphos for helping us out with those decorations and stuff. I think they look great. I don't know if anybody else,
Yours.
they got the equipment and they worked really hard that day to do that Saturday.
Put it up.
Well,
Because Mike gets that machine.
Yes, so I do want to thank him very much. That was very appreciated on our end too. In our place out.
Well, the,
I have one I can bring in. I was,
he felt bad last time because he had it in charge for some gas to go get that green.
I,
But you guys don't pay for it, the lighting committee.
yes, but that's, yeah, and I don't, just enough to get that done instead of, I do
Yeah.
appreciate
We
that,
had two guys directing traffic.
yes.
Yeah.
So it was very nice.
Walt
so.
said that the guys who helped this year helped last year, and he said they're good.
Yeah.
They're good workers.
I do appreciate that, so it
Did they
was.
find some more decorations that work?
The what?
Did they find more decorations that work? Because there was a lot up to, you see a lot on Main Street this year. There's really one that's down by the VFW this year.
Yeah, we had bought them for all the way up there,
Okay.
but, there was supposed to be more, that committee voted to buy some more, but it didn't materialize. But,
we have some that don't work.
the lanterns are getting very, very old and brittle.
They look- they're all-
Over the years, Kathy and I
Place.
bought
I
special
know
stuff.
somebody that used to put up a lot of Christmas lights. That done that.
We retired the lanterns over the years.
Pine Street, there's two lights out. There's 3 candles, 2 lights are out.
Yeah, I noticed down here, that's exasperating, because they check them before they put them up.
For 13 years, I put up every Christmas light down in Sawmill in Victoria.
Oh, yeah?
For 13 years, yeah.
I didn't
also-
know that. Do you remember?
They also checked them when they were up on top. They put their hand over top of it. All those lights worked. I have video of that. Now they're out.
You know, like you said, there's, you know, I saw an angel
And
and
like I
two little
said,
lights.
When I worked on Sawmill, I did all the Christmas lights.
I missed
I
that.
don't know,
I really
I
did.
That was a
It's a
long
lot.
line.
I started in September, I don't know how many lights, I started in September and didn't get done till Thanksgiving night.
You missed it.
I do kinda.
I bet.
You were like Tom, you liked it.
Did you know about that?
Oh, we traveled, yeah.
Chickens?
Yes.
I did
Yeah,
it for
that
years.
was
I
drawn
miss
up for
it.
folks in
And
Coalport.
then every night I'd have to stay after work and fix stuff for 2 or 3 hours.
But you don't know how many lights there were.
No, I don't know how many lights, I never counted them.
I do miss it
Something
though.
I'd like to know.
I do want to thank all the workers and especially Mike Delphos and everything, because it does help. And I do miss
The
all
garden?
that, but it's
Did
very
you,
nice. Yes,
the
it
day
is very
before the
beautiful.
Christmas lighting, did you go down? When you go another block down on Main
Oh, the
Street,
garden looks beautiful.
and the
Right beside the
garden,
gas
it's
station.
all lit up.
Mhm.
It's really pretty.
And that was all lights and up. So I
No, not yet. You wanna-
want to thank
Make a
everybody
motion to adjourn
again
tonight's
for
meeting.
a good thing on Saturday. Everybody did the hard work and it was very nice. So, I think that was all I had.
I'll put that here.
So a motion by Andy, second by Sean to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passed.
This is like-
9:45.
Thank you very much.
I don't keep you.
9:45.
Group of volunteers that put up the lights.